Welcome to part 2 of our historical exploration of the most brutal and ruthless leaders of the ancient world. Get ready to be shocked by more chilling stories, untold details, and the fascinating intricacies that shaped these formidable rulers. Ascending to the throne in 883 BCE, Ashurnasirpal II wasted no time in solidifying his power and expanding the reach of the Assyrian Empire. His reign, characterized by military conquest, mass atrocities, and a penchant for brutality, left an indelible mark on the ancient world. One of Ashurnasirpal II's most infamous achievements was the construction of his capital city, Kalhu, modern-day Nimrud. The grandeur of the city was marred by the forced labor and cruelty inflicted upon its builders. Thousands of prisoners of war and conquered peoples were conscripted into labor, enduring harsh conditions and facing brutal punishments for any perceived disobedience. The construction of Kalhu became a symbol of the king's oppressive rule. Military campaigns were a cornerstone of Ashurnasirpal II's leadership. He led his armies with an iron fist, employing advanced military tactics and siege warfare to expand the Assyrian Empire. Cities that resisted his rule faced devastating consequences, with Ashurnasirpal II's forces employing tactics such as mass executions, deportations, and the sowing of fields with salt to ensure that nothing would grow. His annals boast of the destruction he brought upon rebellious cities, describing in gruesome detail the horrors inflicted upon their inhabitants. The king's inscriptions proudly proclaim his merciless approach to governance. Ashurnasirpal II reveled in describing the fear he inspired in his enemies, emphasizing the brutal reprisals he exacted upon those who dared to defy him. These inscriptions, found on the walls of his palace, serve as a chilling testament to the brutality of his rule. Ashurnasirpal II's cruelty extended to his treatment of prisoners of war. Those captured in battle faced gruesome fates, including impalement, flaying, and public displays of mutilated corpses as a warning to others. The king sought not only territorial expansion, but also to instill terror and submission among his subjects and enemies alike. Also known as Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, Caligula's brief and tumultuous reign is often remembered for its erratic and cruel nature, earning a place among history's most brutal leaders. Caligula's early rule seemed promising, marked by a period of financial generosity and increased political stability. However, his mental state deteriorated rapidly, and he descended into tyrannical madness that shocked the Roman world. His acts of cruelty, sadism, and arbitrary violence became the hallmarks of his rule. One of the most infamous aspects of Caligula's reign was his penchant for personal indulgence in excess. He squandered the empire's wealth on lavish and extravagant projects, including the construction of an opulent floating palace, which was widely seen as a symbol of his megalomania. These excesses not only drained the treasury, but also heightened the economic burden on the Roman people. Caligula's cruelty extended beyond financial mismanagement. He engaged in widespread political purges, targeting real or perceived enemies with ruthless efficiency. Senators, equestrians, and even members of his own family fell victim to his paranoia and violent outbursts. The Senate lived in constant fear, with the specter of arbitrary executions hanging over its members. The emperor's personal sadism manifested in various forms of public and private violence. Caligula is reported to have indulged in sexual deviance, cruelty, and torture. He reveled in humiliating and torturing his subjects, demonstrating a complete disregard for the dignity of the Roman people. He was finally assassinated in 41 AD, marking the end of a reign characterized by brutality and madness. Nebuchadnezzar II, the legendary Babylonian king, is renowned for his grand architectural achievements and military prowess, but his legacy is also stained by a reputation for brutality and ruthlessness. Nebuchadnezzar's reign was marked by aggressive territorial expansion and the subjugation of neighboring lands. The brutal conquest of Jerusalem in 587 BCE stands out as one of the most infamous events during his rule. The city was besieged, and when it fell, Nebuchadnezzar ordered the destruction of the Temple of Solomon, an act that left an indelible scar on the history of the Jewish people. Thousands were taken into captivity, marking the beginning of the Babylonian exile. Beyond military conquest, Nebuchadnezzar's rule was characterized by harsh treatment of subject peoples. His administration imposed heavy tributes and taxes on conquered territories, leading to widespread economic hardship for those under Babylonian rule. The king's relentless pursuit of wealth and power contributed to the suffering of countless individuals. Nebuchadnezzar's infamy is also tied to the biblical account of his madness. According to the book of Daniel, the king experienced a period of insanity, during which he was driven from his palace to live as a beast in the fields. Though the historicity of this account is debated, it symbolizes Nebuchadnezzar's tyrannical nature and the arbitrary exercise of his power. Not every leader can say his own name was mentioned in the Bible. The first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, is a figure both revered for his unification of the nation and reviled for the brutality and ruthlessness with which he achieved his ambitions. His reign, which began in 221 BCE and marked the commencement of the Qin dynasty, is renowned for the construction of the Great Wall of China and the standardization of various elements such as weights, measures, and the Chinese writing system. The darker side of his rule, however, involves acts of extreme cruelty and authoritarianism. One of the most notorious aspects of Qin Shi Huang's reign was his implementation of forced labor on a massive scale. Enslaved peasants and prisoners of war were subjected to grueling conditions while working on ambitious construction projects, including the Great Wall and his extravagant mausoleum, which famously features the terracotta army. The immense human toll of these endeavors underscores the emperor's willingness to sacrifice countless lives for the sake of his imperial legacy. Qin Shi Huang's regime was marked by harsh legalism and severe punishments for even minor offenses. His draconian legal code prescribed brutal penalties, including mutilation and death for crimes ranging from theft to dissent. The emperor's quest for absolute control led to a climate of fear and suppression, stifling any opposition and dissenting voices. In an attempt to consolidate power and eliminate potential rivals, Qin Shi Huang ordered the burning of books and the burial alive of hundreds of scholars. The infamous burning of the literary works not only erased significant portions of China's intellectual history, but also demonstrated the emperor's intolerance of diverse thoughts and ideas. Qin Shi Huang's quest for immortality is another facet of his rule that highlights his brutality. He is said to have ingested poisonous elixirs and conducted a relentless search for the mythical elixir of life, leading to the deaths of numerous alchemists and the consumption of toxic substances in the pursuit of eternal life. While Qin Shi Huang's accomplishments laid the foundation for a unified China, his legacy is undeniably tainted by the brutality and oppression that defined his rule. Sennacherib, the great Assyrian king, is often remembered as one of the most brutal and merciless leaders in ancient history. His reign is marked by military campaigns, ruthless conquest, and a reputation for cruelty that sent shockwaves throughout the ancient world. Sennacherib's military exploits were particularly devastating. He inherited a formidable war machine from his predecessors, and he wasted no time in employing it to expand the Assyrian Empire. One of the most infamous campaigns was directed against the kingdom of Judah, with the siege and subsequent capture of the city of Lachish in 701 BCE serving as a chilling example of Assyrian military might. The reliefs depicting the siege on the walls of Sennacherib's palace in Nineveh showcase the brutality of the conquest, with scenes of mass executions, deportations, and the sacking of cities. This is only one of the many conquests led by Sennacherib, where hundreds of thousands of innocent lives were lost in brutal ancient warfare. The king's approach to conquered territories was characterized by a policy of extreme cruelty designed to instill terror and submission. Cities that resisted Assyrian rule faced brutal reprisals. Sennacherib's inscriptions proudly documented the punishment of rebellious subjects, describing in detail the horrors inflicted upon them. The Assyrians were notorious for their use of mass deportations, forced labor, and the decimation of entire populations to quash any resistance. Sennacherib's treatment of Babylon, a city he conquered and later brutally suppressed, is another dark chapter in his reign. After a rebellion in Babylon, the king ordered the destruction of the city, including the famous ziggurat known as the Etemenanki, Tower of Babel. The biblical account in the Book of Kings also suggests that Sennacherib faced divine retribution for his actions, as he was assassinated by his own sons shortly after his return to Nineveh. The king's palace in Nineveh, adorned with reliefs depicting scenes of conquest and brutality, served as a visual testament to the ferocity of Sennacherib's rule. The inscriptions on these reliefs glorified the king's military achievements and underscored his commitment to maintaining Assyrian dominance through fear and violence. Sennacherib's military campaigns and the destruction of Babylon exemplified the savagery that defined his rule, earning him the dubious honor of being the most brutal leader of the ancient world. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the darker side of history. As we reflect on the brutality displayed by these ancient leaders, let us not only shudder at the darkness of their deeds, but also use their stories as cautionary reminders of the fragility of power and the enduring consequences of unchecked ambition. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.